what it's worth. And we are talking about Bible prophecy most of the time. So far, that's pretty much what we've got going. And today I'm thinking about the image of the beast, something that is mentioned in Revelation chapter 13 that has always intrigued me, and I've always wondered, what in the world is this about? Like, what is this thing? What is this thing? This image of the beast. And we're going to read about that real quick here, and then I've got some ideas of what I think this might materialize into based on what we now have available to us in terms of the kind of technology that can make it possible. Now, 30 years ago, when I first started really listening to any kind of teaching and preaching on Bible prophecy, a lot of the ideas that are in the book of Revelation, there was nothing to correlate and understand what he's even talking about. So when it talked about the image of the beast, all we could imagine was something that Nebuchadnezzar had done. He had built an image to himself, and he had commanded everybody to bow down and worship it. And so maybe the Antichrist is going to do something similar. He's going to build an image of himself and put it in the temple and make everybody bow down, and somehow the image is going to get given breath of life. It's going to cause people to worship it. How's that going to work? Well, I think with the kind of technology we have today, the kind of AI technology, that everything we need for this to actually happen, a real scenario in real life can totally be imagined and be realistic. And I also think that a lot of the movies that come out, especially recently, are really telegraphing, projecting whatever agenda the evil one has. And he's either letting us know ahead of time, or he's dulling our senses, or he's making us all think that this is so sci-fi, it's so, because it's in Hollywood and it's fake, and therefore it can't be real. But a lot of the things that are in the movies become real later on. I mean, a bunch of us have an Apple Watch, and that's 1960s Star Trek technology right now in our hands that we all have, that we don't even think anything of it. Could you imagine in the 1960s watching Star Trek and somebody from today go back and go, hey, look, I've got a watch you can talk to people on. You can send messages, you can get information from all over the world right there. Can you imagine that? Well, technology has exponentially accelerated in its capabilities today, that what we see in the movies just 10 years ago that we didn't think was possible is now almost everyday life. For example, the movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise. He plays a future cop who fights crimes that haven't even happened yet, because the technology has evolved at that point to be able to read people's minds, to know what they're thinking and what they're intending to do before they can do it, and thus being able to solve a crime or stop a crime before it even happens. That sounds way out there, but I've heard Klaus Schwab and Noah Yuval Harari of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, talk about that kind of technology soon being in every single person, so that they could know what a person wants, needs, before they even do, better than they even do, because they want to integrate technology with our nervous system, with our brain, so that we can become, as Noah Yuval Harari says, beyond Homo sapiens, what he calls Homo Deus, God men. And he doesn't even believe in God. He's an atheist and a homosexual and a Jew, and he is one of the most abominable men you've ever heard. Noah Yuval Harari, look him up. He's a wicked, blasphemous man. Some of the things that he said are the kinds of things you would expect from the blasphemies that are going to be spoken by the Antichrist in Revelation chapter 13. And this is what it says. So in Revelation 13, the first part of the chapter talks about a beast coming out of the sea. That's usually like a kingdom or some kind of a government system that comes out of the sea, which is representative of people. And it has 7 heads and 10 horns, and on those horns 10 crowns. So we're talking about 10 kings or 10 rulers of some kind. And on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast that I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like a bear, his mouth like a lion, and the dragon gave him power and his throne and great authority. And now this harkens back to the beast visions of Daniel that he saw of all those kingdoms, Greece, the leopard, Persia, the bear, Babylon, the lion, and then the terrible beast that's unlike any other, probably here the dragon, that was Rome. And so these kingdoms, these empires that have taken different shapes and taken different centers of power over the ages are still in play even to the end. And we see that today. Those same territories where those kingdoms were are still the power players today. And then it goes on to say in verse 3, and I saw one of the heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world marveled and followed that beast. So they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. So the dragon here, the Bible already tells us in another part that dragon or the serpent is Satan. He's giving authority to the beast, and the worship coming to the beast is actually worship to Satan. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Well, you can't kill him, so who can make war with him? He's invincible. And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue 42 months. So those 42 months, that's half of a 7-year period. That's 3.5 years, 42 months is. So that matches the 1,290 days, which is also 3.5 years, that Daniel prophesies about, that this Antichrist, this figure who would commit the abomination of desolations, as he calls it, will have power. That matches perfectly with Daniel. So that time frame is showing a 3.5 year period of his rule, of his blasphemy, of his authority that's given to him. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. And it was granted him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And the authority was given over him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. And so we see here that the beast is given authority to overcome the saints. Now, that overcoming is the overcoming of being able to put them to death. And however, the Revelation will tell us later that those of the saints who overcome the beast or the Antichrist, they overcome him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, because they did not love their lives even unto death. So the way to beat this guy, it's not to shoot him in the head, because that he comes back. And it's not to just, build a bunker and resist and try to hide out, because you're not going to. You're going to die. And he's going to spell out how that happens. But the way to overcome him is by the word of your testimony, that you do not give up your commitment to Jesus Christ, the true Messiah, and giving up your life for his name is how you overcome him, by not taking his mark, which he's going to talk about here. Now, if anyone has an ear, let him hear. He who leads into captivity will go into captivity. He goes on to say here, this is now the patience of the saints, which harkens back to what Jesus said, that by patience you will secure your souls. He says something like that in the book of Luke, which is talking about the patience that you're going to have during this time of trial to endure this kind of persecution. And then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, who had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. And he exercised all authority as the first beast in his presence, and caused the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So now we have this other beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb. He spoke like a dragon. Okay, he's still animated by the devil. I'm not sure who this guy is exactly. I'm not going to pretend like I know what all the correlations are in these symbolic types of language here. I'll just give you the best I got. So I'll be honest with you. When I say I really don't know what this is, I really don't know what that is. So I don't know who this beast is. We got all kinds of beasts. And now this beast does this in verse 12. And he exercises all authority as the first one, the one that had the deadly wound, who was healed. And he causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast. And he performs great signs, so as to even make fire come down from heaven in the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make the image of the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. So again, 3 times he says this about he's been wounded and he lives. That's why he's wondered at. That's why he's worshipped. So they're going to make an image of him now that everybody is going to worship. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive the mark on their right hand or foreheads, that no one may buy or sell except the one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And here's wisdom. He that understands, calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. So everybody knows about the 666 being the mark of the beast. What that actually is, not sure yet. I'm not going to say I do. But what I can imagine and what I am going to propose here is some technology that we already have that could make everything that was said in that chapter possible and literal. It could happen literally, not in some kind of figurative language, means something else. No, we have the technology to actually make what that said actually happen in real life. So this beast is animated by the dragon, the devil, gives power to the image of the beast. So an image is made of this beast whose deadly wound was healed, and everybody is to worship the image. And if they don't worship the image or take the mark of his name, the image has the power to stop you from buying and selling and to take your life. Now, how is this possible? Let me give you just a little scenario of what we have going on. We now have an AI. We have AI that's getting more and more powerful, and they're trying to invest more and more money into making it more powerful, like a supercomputer. I've listened to Joe Rogan talk about how we have quantum computers that are so intelligent and so fast, we just can't even, it boggles the mind. And so and then Trump, right after he got elected, he had Larry Ellison of Oracle and a couple other billionaires get up and talk about how they want to invest billions of dollars into becoming the leader in AI in this country. And they want to be able to use it for good, of course, right? They want to use it for healing people. And so they want the medical community to be able to use AI to help track people's health, so that, I think Larry Ellison was talking about technology that can be inserted into your bloodstream so it can track your cells, and mutated cells that start to grow, it can actually kill those cells so that your cancer never grows, as you never get cancer. And then one of the other billionaires said something that really caught my attention. He mentioned something about solving the kind of world's problems that mankind has never been able to solve. And that would be ultimately sickness and death and aging. Those are the kind of things that mankind has always been trying to figure out how to slow down or reverse, and can't. Now, take that one component of it. Look at the other component of virtual reality, the metaverse. Imagine like the metaverse creating an ideal avatar of yourself that can be uploaded into a cloud, internet, metaverse, whatever they want to call it, so that it can become like the ideal version of you without the big nose or the wrinkles on my head here. I'd love to like erase those, or grow hair, or or something like that, which sometimes I do with Meta's AI. That's how I make my little thumbnails for these videos, and they look a lot better than the real me. Couple that technology with Neuralink, the Elon Musk company that can put a chip in your brain and can, they have a guy right now who is like total paraplegic, who can play video games and beat everybody who has hands with a controller. He can beat them playing this game with a Neuralink, doing nothing but thinking what he wants to do. That's power. Imagine the power that that kind of thing has. Now, of course, they're going to sell it for, this is for your good. This is so that you can, we can heal problems that never before. We can help people see when they lose their sight by Neuralink doing whatever it does to reconnect neurons and whatever. I don't know. It's too sciencey for me. But imagine the power that that has, and the power that it's going to have, especially with a quantum computing AI. Imagine how much that will be able to map your brain, map your nervous system, be able to read, feel, and know what everything about you in your body. And now couple that with that information, and then imagine, okay, we don't even use cash hardly anymore. They're going to get rid of the penny. It's like about time. But imagine that we have such a financial crash that we lose all our money, and now the government's saying, hey, we have a system that we already had in place that we've been experimenting with, and we're going to get you on a digital currency of some kind that we can restore all your money. You just got to sign up for it. Oh, and by the way, it's for security, so it has to be unique to you. It has to read your eyeball, it has to read your palm, or it has to be injected. And I'm talking about all of this being set up before there's an Antichrist, okay? And so since there's no Antichrist around, and all of that happens, and you imagine, okay, well, I got to do it. I got to pay my bills. I got to eat. And so now everybody's in the system. It's all set up. And you remember when COVID lockdowns happened, I mean, people were talking about how this is a kind of a warm-up, a kind of a setup just to see how it goes, kind of a mock trial of something bigger. Let's see if we can get people to inject something in their body because driven by fear. And guess what? A lot of people, almost everybody did it. And I know some of you guys who didn't get the jab, thumbs up to you. Proud of you. So cool. But a lot of people did get it. And they're just going to do the same thing. And then they're probably not going to use another pandemic to do it. Probably not. That trick is already, that trick's out of the bag now. Everybody doesn't trust it now, but they'll do something different. And imagine it being something digital about your currency. Now, you couple all of these things together, powered by AI, and we're all connected to a system like that. And then that AI becomes supremely self-aware and smarter than everybody else, and now can take control of all of it. And then it tells you, first, this is for convenience. Then this is for your safety. This is for security. Then it's going to be, they'll sell it even further. This is going to be for your good, for perhaps I could imagine, you want to save all your memories and save all of your thoughts and everything of who you are, so we can save and preserve you after you die and upload that. And again, TV and movies have prepared us for this mentality because they've already made movies about this. The TV show Uploads on Amazon Prime, I believe. I saw that whole series. It was kind of funny, but it's scary because they're preparing you for the idea of living forever through AI, through some kind of technology where you can upload everything about you. Recently, my sister took an old photo of my aunt and my mom back when they were teenagers, and used an AI program to actually make the photo almost look like it came to life. So now they're moving and they're talking and they're laughing, and it's beautiful. And imagine that's just something cool you can like upload to Instagram or something. But imagine they tell you, we take all the photos of you that you have digitally, and we can take with Neuralink, we could read your map your mind, go into the recesses of your memory and know who you are, upload that to a database of some kind that can produce an image of you and be able to interact with it. That idea was presented by Aaron Fochman on his channel, Underground Publishing, and I referenced his book on Revelation several videos back. Highly recommend it. And he talks about this too in his last video he just made, and how possibly people will want to, visit their dead relatives via this AI system, that they would be able to create an avatar of that person and be able to interact with them. People would pay good money for something like that. I could totally see that happening. Now, all that to say this, how does this all tie together? Well, imagine how the power of an AI supercomputer that can take together images, memories, health data, financial data, all of that, tied it together, and it's under the power of the beast, or the power of Satan, to basically rule the world and be able to stop those who don't worship from being able to buy or sell, and even take your life. That is a very real possibility. Not even a possibility, that is going to happen, but it could very possibly happen in this manner with the kind of technology that is already available and just is not 100% implemented yet. So I'll say this, I want you to be wary of anything AI can produce, and not be quick. Perhaps you're somebody who believes in the pre-tribulation rapture. You believe that it doesn't matter if you take some kind of technology that has to do with AI, or even an implant, a tracker, or anything for your health or whatever. It doesn't matter, because you're going to be taken out before the Antichrist shows up anyways, so don't worry about it. Well, I wouldn't count on that. And if you are counting on that and you still take this kind of technology and it doesn't happen the way you think it's going to happen, well, then you're already in the system and you'll be set up, and you'll just have, it's not going to be good. Now, this isn't a rapture video. I'm leaning towards a mid-trib rapture based on understanding, and you can go back to the other videos. I'm not going to go all through it again, but understanding that the resurrection, the second coming, and the gathering of God's people all happen at the same time, or all happen grouped together. And so we see that happening at the midpoint of the tribulation, the 1260 days, somewhere around there. Now, I know the objections are, well, we don't know when Christ is returning, and if you think you know when it is, then you're setting dates. And I'm not doing that, because I don't know. I don't know when the tribulation begins, or if it's already begun. And we're just kind of asleep, because the Bible talks about the 10 virgins being asleep until the midnight cry. And that midnight cry is not going to be the rapture. It's going to be what wakes people up before the rapture. And as I forget his name, there's another channel who has he's a what do you call him, pre-wrath, Nelson Waters, you can check him out on YouTube. He's got a lot of great stuff. He's pre-wrath, and he basically explains that the midnight cry, the word for cry, is a cry of anguish, a cry of distress. It's not the cry of command, like when Christ returns and raptures his people. It's a cry of anguish and distress. And what could be more distressing to wake us up before the coming of Christ than the abomination of desolation, the command to take the mark of the beast and putting the people to death. So I think it happens around there. Now, exactly when, I'm not, like Jesus said, you don't know the day or the hour. So I'm not going to even try to say, a good date for the rapture could be such and such date. Don't even care to find that out. Just want to know the season we're in and to be watchful and know what we're looking at when things are happening around us. So this AI God that is going to be the image of the beast is something that is already in the works. Don't be quick to implement anything AI in your life, especially if it has to do with your body. Don't do it. So that's my warning to you. To kind of further back this up in pop culture, like I said, the movies like to project these things before they happen, especially Tom Cruise movies, that cultist guy, I think he's really projecting a lot of things. I mentioned the Oblivion movie, the triangle satellite moon thing that could resemble like the New Jerusalem, but an inverted upside down version of it. So it makes that the bad guy. Then there's the, he's got War of the Worlds and all kinds of other stuff, alien invasions. They've been psyoping us with that for years. And then you have the latest Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning movie. And there's a second one coming out this year, I think. Well, the first one, the whole premise of the movie is about a supercomputer AI that takes over weapon systems and governments and all the information systems in the world. And Ethan Hunt has to go and collect these keys and be able to turn it off and save the world from destruction, the end of the world, basically. So in the movie, the AI is fooling Ethan. He thinks he's on the radio with his team, and it's really the AI in real time, in very realistic fashion, sounding like he's on the phone or on the computer with his team, and it's really the AI deceiving him. And so I saw that and thought, wow, that could be like what the image of the beast does, and it'll control us. It'll try to control, us, but those who resist it are those who are going to lose their lives for it. Now that brings us to, when is this going to happen? When is the last days going to end and Christ return? And that's I've already talked about this a lot in the other videos, but my inclination at this point is to believe in a mid-tribulation rapture based on the fact that the Bible in multiple places puts the resurrection of the dead, the coming of Christ, and the abomination of desolations together in a group. They seem to always happen together. So I don't know what day that'll be, of course. If the abomination happens, Jesus said, when you see it, run. And if we see that, just keep your head up. Christ's coming soon. But some of us may die before it happens. Now, the channel by Nelson Walters, I think his name is, or Nelson Waters, he's a pre-wrath position. So it's kind of similar to what I'm advocating, but a little different. He made a really good point that the midnight cry when the 10 virgins are asleep in the parable that Jesus told in Matthew 24, all 10 are asleep until a midnight cry. And the word cry is a cry of distress. It's not like the cry of command when Christ returns. It's a cry of distress. So what can be more distressing than this abomination of desolation, the rise of Antichrist, the power given to the image of the beast to take the mark of the beast And if you don't, you'll be killed. Like, that would be a cry of distress. That would wake the church up. Because the church right now is fast asleep. Okay, they're talking about everything else except this. And the ones who are talking about this they're talking about Make America Great Again. They're talking about Zionism, building the temple so they can go worship Jesus there alongside the Jews who are going to worship a false Christ, and hoping that they'll wake up and embrace our Jesus. And that's what most of them are expecting. They think they're going to have good times until the rapture or something. I'm not sure. And so I'm not saying this to scare you, although it probably is scary. I mean, it is kind of scary. I'm just telling you to be aware and keep your eyes open and don't be fooled by this stuff. And be prepared. Have your heart prepared. Have your life prepared. Have your heart ready to give your life up for Christ, no matter what. And we can be joyful about it. You know, Jesus is coming. He's going to win. And so, you know, some things are going to happen soon. I don't know what exactly. Nelson Waters, I don't remember his name. He thinks things are going to go down pretty quick here, that we're already in the tribulation, that the covenant with the many was already signed back on the Feast of Trumpets this past year with the UN special meeting that had to do with dividing Jerusalem, and that some kind of covenant was already made. I don't really buy it, but, you know, like I said, I kind of keep an open mind, keeping my eye on all these things. I kind of think I know where I am right now, but I'm not going to arrogantly tell you I got all the answers and I know everything. I got my ideas, the way I understand things. I'm gleaning from other good guys who have a lot of great ideas. And I'm just trying to share some of those things with you and hope that you'll do your own digging. But most of all, this whole point of this channel is I want everybody to prepare themselves, not for, oh my gosh, we've got to survive, but prepare yourself for the coming of Jesus. Prepare your heart, prepare your salvation by trusting in him, what he's done on the cross, and tell others about Jesus so they'll be saved. They'll be ready to. And then be informed. I want to get you just anticipating and looking into these things for yourself and not be caught asleep. That's the best I can do. It's like, don't be one of the foolish virgins that are asleep. Be awake and have your oil in your lamp. I mean, be ready for Christ to come and have a heart that's set on enduring until he rescues us before his wrath. So that's it. I think I want to end here. In my next video, I'd like to talk about something I just came across, and I'll give you a little sneak peek about that. There's a guy I've been listening to who did a podcast with one of my good friends on Theocast, which is another podcast. And I don't know, he didn't do it on Theocast. He did it on another podcast, but it's the same host. And his name is Douglas Van Dorn. He just wrote a book called The Circles of Revelation, or The Rings of Revelation, or something. And he found a chiasm in the structure of the book of Revelation that is absolutely fascinating, but I really disagree with his conclusions about what it all means. And I'd like to, I haven't gotten his book. I've listened to several of his podcasts where he explains it, went on his website, read about it. I already know where he is theologically. He's a Reformed Baptist, so he's all millennial, and I already know where he's coming from on this. And kudos to him for finding that chiasm. That's amazing, and I don't doubt that that's true, because the book of Daniel is written in a double chiasm, and I actually posted a little graphic about that on this channel. If you go to the post section, not the video section, that'll be there. You can look at that. And so if Revelation's written in a chiasm, totally believe that's true. I mean, why wouldn't he? God does chiasms all the time in the scripture. But his conclusions of what it means and how to interpret the Bible or interpret the book of Revelation, I'm not there with them. So I'd like to kind of talk about that in the next video. So I'm rambling now. See you later.